Hey guys, how's it going? VaulSC here. We're going to take a look at another game of infiNity, and it's going to be combined army up against Caledonia, the Scots, the Caledonian Highlander army. It's tutorial of Ariadna, and the mission is going to be a comm center. Again, played comm center quite a lot in the recent days, but it is my favorite mission in ITS, as you guys have gathered. It's a really good balance between, first turn versus second turn. Really good balance between, going purely after objectives or purely after the alternative methods of scoring, and obviously controlling the board, killing things is really quite a big deal as well. So this is our game table here at my place. I'm just going to grab a nice yellow. Looks exactly the same as the roof. I'm actually going to be painting this today as well. We'll use this color here for our little paint job. So there's sort of a bit of a deployment zone through here. And Caledonians are going to be on the left-hand side here, and actually CHA, of course, and then combined are going to be on this side. My deployment zone is sort of around about here. About there. And I've managed to win the lieutenant role for the initiative, and that's going to allow me to go first. And I like going first in this mission because you can put a dent in them with the Alpha Strike, and then in your last turn, you can pick up as many objectives as you can and just move all of your guys out to provide really annoying AOs, and they have to try and take back your objectives, and maybe several of them, while sort of being shot at. There you have it. Running a fairly vast sort of list with, I think, 10 orders in Group 1 and 7 orders in Group 2, but one of the Imitrons fails to land with its deployment role. I've also got a Noctifer on this white box, white crate prone, as you can see here in my hidden deployment. So actually, if we take a little look at it on the photo here, the Noctifer is around about there. Okay. Alright, so on the left-hand side for me, we've got a Crackot Renegade with Red Fury who managed to roll up a +1 armor and bioimmunity. Not my favorite one, but hey, I'll take it. There's a Dachiratsa here. This is a Gaki, trying out the Gakis now. So I usually run Pretas, but Gaki is quite an interesting choice because he's a lot cheaper. And it's all about trying to find a way for him to trade. He's not very good at defending your deployment zone with a chain rifle because he doesn't have one, has no gun at all. But if he can move into range of an enemy model and either survive or explode and cause damage to them, really quite a big deal. I am going to be posting a really lengthy video covering the entire combined army range next. That's going to be my next video after this. So look out for that, guys. The full combined review, and I'll talk a bit more about these guys in that video. Anyway, I've got Nicodron here. Bit is around here, and she's linked up to Kiss, of course, behind the box. I've got an R-drone repeater bot, flash pulse bot, I should say. Another Gaki out through the middle. I've got 3 of these in total, so there's the other one. And Dr. Worm just prone behind this box here. This is a sort of a mid-zone view of what I've taken in my list. So there's the middle Gaki, Dr. Worm, as we saw, the Imatron landing successfully here next to the objective. I've got these objectives here to actually accomplish initially, by the way. So to do that, we've landed a Speculo. Don't forget that there's an exclusion zone through here as well. So Speculo, not Speculo, shrouded with Fort Observer prone behind the objective, but not touching it because I can't. This is the other Crackot with an SMG. He has rolled Climbing Plus and extra speed, which is another good one. And my Nexus Lieutenant specialist back there. On the right-hand side, I've got an Icodron right to the far side here behind this the large wall of crates. Another Gaki set to move out, but under the cover of smoke from this Dachiratsa here. And as you saw earlier, Shrouded, Crackot, Imatron, Nexus, and so on. So my opponent is taking up the left-hand, taking up the other side of the table, I should say. So he's got as many Galwegians as he can lay his hands on. There's one over here and another one over here. So that's 2 of them on his left-hand flank. There's a camo marker prone here, which is actually a Fort Observer SAS trooper. There's the Doctor back here, 112, or whatever you call it. This is a Scott, Scott with a missile launcher, the camo missile launcher guy. We've got McMurray back here. And he's going to be looking to do some damage throughout the middle of his table. So we just saw the missile launcher and the Doctor and McMurray. And here's the volunteer link team. So this is the grey rifle here. This is the important guy with the HMG. But these guys are going to be able to link up with him. But he's chosen to leave them there as cheerleaders while he links instead the Scots. So he's got William Wallace and his 3 Galwegians over here in a link team of just 4 models. And this is actually quite smart because 6th Sense Level 2 is really all you need to sort of prevent any shenanigans around the side there. And the double chain rifle should see to it that people think twice before coming around the flank to try and assassinate William. So there's a bit more of an overview of the layout there. On the left, you've got the volunteers and the grey rifle, and on the right, you've got 3 Galwegians plus William Wallace. And if you guys hadn't noticed, there's another SAS trooper, forward observer there. So he's got quite a big army. His designated target, which we both have to destroy, well, we each have to destroy each other's designated target with our own data trackers. His is here next to the left-hand flank SAS trooper. So I'll be going after that with my data tracker, who will be a Krakot Renegade. It's a bit more of a close-up on William Wallace, who's in the corner, with his 2 friendly buddies. I think he's using this grey rifle to represent a Galwegian in this case. His reserve model is a Cataran T2 sniper on the crate just above the volunteers. So this guy's going to get quite a wide angle throughout a lot of the table. My reserve model is, sorry, that was not his reserve model, that was just a late placement. My reserve model is a Specular Killer with boarding shotgun. The plan is to lay smoke here and then move KoDali in from the side and actually start attacking things. I won't be able to attack this guy because he'll be able to delay his reaction thanks to 6th Sense Level 2, but I'm thinking of just hosing into these guys and the Cataran with the combi rifle with all of Group 1's orders, which hopefully should leave him fairly devastated in terms of order pool. So to counter me, he decides to put down Uxia McNeil here, and there's not too many other places she can go because she doesn't have first turn, and there's an exclusion zone. So this is pretty good. It means that rather than me just be able to throw smoke straight away, I've got to find some way of actually dealing with her. So smart play. Initially, okay, data tracker going on the submachine gun Krakot, and we're away with Impetuous. So Impetuous able to move through. This guy's able to come through here and lay down a smoke here. This is going to prevent his missile launcher, Scott, from actually firing through the alleyway and actually blasting me as I move through the left-hand flank to go after Uxie McNeil and land some smoke grenades without having to use the Specular Killer. So in the middle of the table, we've got the other Krakot moving up the stairs using Impetuous. Luckily, not coming over here in terms of his height because there's still that Cataran with T2 Sniper in the distance. We want to avoid that. My right-hand flank, moving the Dacharatse up and throwing down a smoke grenade. This is going to allow the Predator to move forward. So as you can see here, the Predator able to draw cover from that smoke, moving through to here, initially avoiding, yet again, the Sniper, which is situated up here. And, of course, the missile launcher, which is further over the side of the building, or behind it. And then I'm going to be able to come through with a Gaki and possibly trade a Gaki for a Galwegian, which would be awesome. Through the center of the table, he gets a bit trigger-happy and actually decides to reveal his Cataran straight away to respond with a shot onto the Gaki. And I feel like this is a good trade here, even if I lose the Gaki, because with him coming out of camo, it's going to mean that KoDali doesn't have to risk a reveal or a discover and potentially fail it. So then it'll be easier to shoot him through the smoke. And luckily, because this guy's dodging on 14s, he actually manages to beat the Cataran in the face-to-face check, and the Gaki's still there. So if I destroy the Cataran this turn, this Gaki should be able to actually continue moving forward, which I quite like. On the left-hand side, we've got another Gaki just moving through the smoke, avoids the missile launcher thanks to the smoke. And at this point, Uxia is forced into a situation where she either has to reveal or stay there, and if she stays there, the Gaki may actually come too close to her and actually blow her up thanks to his explode, or the Gaki might start to get free discovers onto her as well. So she reveals, has a go at him with the shotgun, and that does actually destroy him. So this is a normal roll. He just came out of the smoke with a second short skill. So shotgun at long range, fails the armor save, Gaki goes boom. You can sort of see an overview here. So the position of the Cataran, I'll just move my head a little bit. The position of the Cataran is further up there, and the missile launcher is further that way, right? So this guy has survived, and now the Dacharatse who threw the smoke grenade is able to move through and then come out the other side, and that might allow him to plant another grenade around here if he can avoid dying to Uxia McNeil. Now he's hitting on a 17, and she's not doing too great against mimetism, so he is favoured to win that. So moving through, throws with the first attempt. It actually fails this, but passes the armor save against the shotgun. Is that what happened? I can't quite remember. All I remember is that he did not manage to get the smoke down, and that's another precious order from Group 1 wasted. Ideally, I was wanting to be using like 6 or 7 orders on KoDali herself, but this cannot happen anymore. So burning through the precious orders. Luckily, though, second attempt, the Dacheratsi throws it down, gets the smoke there, and KoDali shows up on the side between the exclusion zone and the deployment zone. So here she is. KoDali is easily able to rip into Uxie McNeil. As you guys know, there's a loophole in the structure of orders in this game where if you move a model within 8 inches of an enemy model without using stealth, and if they cannot delay because they're not opposing a marker or they don't have 6 level 2, they have to waste their arrow using a change face dodge, and they can't shoot back at you. So this is what happens. KoDali just wrecks him because she can see through the smoke, and Uxie can't. So Uxie goes down pretty quickly. Then, just moving a little bit further around here, just shooting a combi rifle against the Cataran, who decides to fire back. Now, unfortunately for me, the Cataran passes his armor save against the combi rifle and just hangs out there. So it's costing me even more orders to try and remove him. Another one does manage to take him down, though, and KoDali is going to move around here, just thinking that because she's going to die next turn, surely it would be better to come around this side and actually possibly take out this model and this model in her last-ditch attempt with using her assault pistol, just to trade herself for more enemy orders and more models and reduce this link team. What ends up happening, though, is she does not kill the volunteer, but she does kill the Galwegian. So, thinking about that, as she comes around here, so just to be clear about what actually happened there, this guy's destroyed, but this guy survives, and KoDali is okay at this point. So I'm thinking, okay, with KoDali made unconscious and William Wallace actually exposed now because there's no model blocking him, I could actually trade the Speculo in there as well. Now, I'm losing a lot of models in this turn, but if I put him to Lost Lieutenant, that's going to break his link wide open, and he's going to get very little done in his turn. So I quite like that idea. Elsewhere, the Gaki moves forward, blows up, but the Galwegian passes his other armor save, which was kind of annoying. The Gaki dies, but a life goes on. Because the Cataran has been destroyed, the other Gaki is moving towards here. I was planning on coming around here and actually suiciding into the Galwegians, but that prompts him to basically reveal his missile launcher. And again, that's fine. Like, I'm trading the Gaki for the missile launcher being revealed now and potentially me attacking him with something. So I quite like that. And also he loses surprise shot later on. So after thinking about it for a bit, the Speculo who started there moves around this side and then comes around here. And there's nothing really he can do to break me completely out of impersonation mode. He's got to discover me over 2 consecutive orders. And then a Speculo basically just moving into base contact with William Wallace. And he can dodge or berserk all he wants, but martial arts level 3, a Speculo with surprise attack and everything, is going to have a fairly good chance of killing William Wallace. So what happens is Speculo comes into close combat, does win the face-to-face roll, but doesn't crit, sadly. And luckily for me, William Wallace fails his armor save and is monofilament blade to the face. But of course, on her way in, the Speculo takes hits from just about everybody and, of course, dies. Alright, so my opponent is in Lost Lieutenant, thankfully, but I haven't really completed much else other than that. Galwegian moving around with Impetuous, and the Dacheratsi just dodges a bit closer to him, and the dodge wins. So we end up in this situation. His other Galwegian moves around here a bit closer to that Dacheratsi without coming line of sight of him. Elsewhere, he's got this Galwegian which survived against the Gaki moving through to my other flank and throwing down the smoke grenade here. So that's my right flank covered. And furthermore, he's bringing in his other guy from around the backside here to help out his friend. So they're swarming. McMurray jumps out around here, and I felt like I didn't quite have line of sight from my my hidden deployment missile launcher up here. He had a line of sight specifically to a spot right in front of the box, but McMurray hasn't actually come into base to base with that. And seeing as he's suspecting, he's smart, he's onto me, he knows that I've probably got a missile launcher, he decides to throw a smoke grenade around about here. Just seeing that there are some pretty long lines of fire through these angles, he does the smart thing and puts the smoke grenade down with the big guy. So there you go. There you go. Nice positioning for it. The Galwegian in the other side moves into combat with my Dacheratse, and they both have a fight. It's a normal roll, attack. So a Berserk roll against Martial Arts level 4, and both of them are removed. So he's traded in for me. That's fine. On his right-hand side flank, he's put his smoke grenade down here, just so that he can actually move on to the objective with his SAS Trooper. And that's exactly what he does. SAS Trooper vaults down from the other side of the door. There's actually a smoke grenade where he's standing, by the way, guys. We just took it out because it was in the way of the model. And successfully presses the button. So he goes into the lead in terms of controlled objectives. Now, what he's planning on doing here is getting McMurrough to move up here with Super Jump and have a bit of a fight with my data tracker. If he can kill my data tracker, that's going to mean that I'm going to miss out on the opportunity to get a lot of points later, and also my own designated targets on the other side of this building. So if he can survive, McMurrough is going to be able to move around there and basically nab a whole wad of points. So I saw that this was the optimal time to reveal the friendly Noctifer here, because the super jump takes him right up to here, to this particular silhouette location here, and my Noctifer can see over this this building here. So that results in me arrowing with a missile, and of course the data tracker obviously doesn't want to get hit by the chain rifles, decides to dodge his way down the stairs. Luckily for me, I passed the dodge check, and luckily also the missile struck home, and McMurrough fails the armor save, and that's one less wound that McMurrough has. I note that I didn't take a photo of this, but what he decided to do is just throw caution to the wind here and lob a spec fire grenade right down the other side of the building to hit my designated target, which is a ballsy move. It means he takes another missile from the Noctifer for free, and the Noctifer missile hits, and he does fail the armor save again and dies, thank God. But his spec fire grenade also hits the designated target as well, which also fails his armor save, and that dies as well. So he's netted a huge bag of points, but luckily McMurrough has had to trade for that, and luckily I've still got my data tracker left alive, so that will allow me to go in for the same value points later, if I can. Elsewhere, Galwegian's just moving a little bit closer to his designated target and protection of it. And then it's my turn again. So he was doing all of that and lost Lieutenant, by the way. He was spending some of his command tokens to turn irregular orders into regular orders for McMurrough to use. Alright, so the Dacheratse are moving and throwing a smoke grenade there successfully in the face of our friendly Galwegian on the right-hand flank. Then we've got the, he's moved to the other side as well, we've got the Shrouded moving through, and in a little bit of desperation, I realized I'd actually left a gap here, which I didn't really intend to, and if I continue moving my Dacheratse over here to throw the smoke grenade around there, I'm going to get shot at by the Galwegian, and I need the smoke grenade here, because that's where the Krakot's going to be advancing later on to get his designated target. So it's all up to this guy, the Shrouded, who, in a miracle act, fires his combi rifle and actually removes both wounds from the Galwegian, amazingly. Even though he has dogged, the combi rifle just blitzes him. Wasn't too bad. I mean, he doesn't gain cover, and I'm heading on like 15, so yeah, it wasn't terribly unlikely, but I was really worried that I was going to have to spend the entire turn just wasting orders on that guy. So I'll just show you a bit of a diagram. The Krakot started around about there, right? And he's sort of come around the other side of the building through to this spot. Then what he's able to do is move directly across the gap and into the smoke grenade, because the smoke's blocking the missile launcher. And then, because his designated target's right here, he can just move in and go straight into close combat, and that should actually net me a whole bunch of points as well. So as you can see here, just from that, the Krakot's moved around through to here, gets into close combat with our friendly designated target, and is able to point blank chest mine close combat and destroy that designated target, and all the while avoiding this guy. So given that I've got a few orders left, the Krakot may as well go after him, because there's nothing else on my list which can really take that missile launcher down very easily. Except for the Red Fury, but that's out of position. So Krakot moves through. He decides actually to dodge with a Galwegian, which I thought was a bit of a naff move. He really should have used the chain rifle, given that I had a couple of orders left. And the missile launcher also dodges, just because they thought I might fire the last, last round that I had on the chest mine. Krakot doesn't get anything done in this particular round, though, and the missile launcher escapes effectively. So, seeing that I still had a Krakot left alive, I decided to move carefully to this point here, where I could just barely draw a line of sight through to his camo marker, And the beauty of this is that I can lay down a template like so, where he'll actually be touched by the chest mine on both models, and that forces him to dodge. Now, because I move in first, he has to declare his arrow straight away. He does declare the dodge, and because I can see him dodging, well, I just whip out the submachine gun instead. A really beautiful way of doing it. So putting 1 dice into the Galwegian and 2 into the Scot, because that kills the specialist and removes his ability to press buttons. In an amazing show of gunplay, the Krakot actually destroys both this guy and this guy. So a hero Krakot doing everything right. There's the SS there, there's the Galwegian, they're both ruined. And hilariously, I can spend the last order just coming over the top here into combat with the Galwegian, not the Galwegian, the Scot. Although miraculously the Scot survives again. So that Scot's doing really well. Because I have an order, Group 2 pool just full of orders, I decided to use the Noctifer to stand down here, climb down here, move across, and then climb up this. Took me all of Group 2's orders, but he ends up positioned here, which beforehand my previous position was being blocked quite badly by this building and this building here. But now with this vantage point around here, I can actually see most of the table and including a lot of the key consoles. So this new position, as you can appreciate, is a lot more effective for the missile launcher. He does have a grey rifle, but yeah, I'm just hopeful that the TO camo will help me survive against him for some time. So my opponent's setting up. We're just determining at this point, because there's a silhouette here and silhouette here. We're just determining whether the Noctifer can actually draw line of sight to his Galwegian as it comes up the board in his turn 2, and we determined that it could. So he does throw a smoke grenade to avoid me. Then, because he's got a new lieutenant, he's basically formed a new link team with everybody here, and they're going to try and position in such a way that everybody sort of clears out and gets out of the way, while the grey rifle moves into this particular position to shoot at the Noctifer. And they have to steer clear of the actual template, so long as the rest of them are out of range of where the template's going to sit, the grey rifle can actually start mowing down the Noctifer. The real problem with this, though, is that we're using these little plants, and the plant counts as a forest, effectively. And the silhouette of the Noctifer and the silhouette of the plants and the silhouette of the grey rifle are sort of obscuring each other, shall we say. So we're both going through a -3 for a forest, and both going through -1 burst for the saturation zone of the forest. So the grey rifle, ballistic skill 16, +3 for good range, -3 for cover, back to 16. -6 for TO camo down to 10, and then minus another 3 for the planter in the forest. So he needs 7s on 4 dice, whereas the Noctifer needs a 9 on 1 dice. So it's still very favorable for the grey rifle. But the problem he encounters here is that he's got to strip 2 wounds off me before we can start going around freely and pressing buttons and so forth. Now, in this particular spot, the unthinkable happened, and I actually rolled a critical hit with the Noctifer, which is a pretty game-deciding moment, I must say. I got really lucky there. But having said that, if I simply roll like a 6, 7, or 8, for example, and he doesn't get any hits, you've got the same outcome. If he misses all of his shots, or if he hits me once or twice and I tank the armor saves, he's back to square 1 minus an order. And if he does end the turn with me going into Dogged, he hasn't really accomplished anything with the turn. There's also the increased possibility he'll strip a wound off me, I'll take Dogged, and then I'll kill him in a later shootout. So all of these eventualities aren't really wonderful for Ariadne. So odds are definitely favorable, and he's definitely made the correct play. There's not a mistake to take on the Noctifer at all. I'm just trying to point out that it's a little bit of a risky play, and there are a lot of sort of eventualities which really put you in a hard spot. But as it was, he basically went into the exact worst possible outcome of all outcomes, and the Noctifer has destroyed the grey rifle. Awful stuff for Ariadne. In the meantime, he's got a live missile launcher here, which moves up right next to the Krakot. I've run out of chest mines, and he just blasts me with the assault pistol. A Krakot dies, finally. He decides, basically because he's in a losing situation, to take a risk and stand up against the Noctifer, which I've circled in the distance, and have a shootout. The reason why this is the most intelligent play is that even though he's not in favourable odds to win, if he either survives the shot or we both miss, he's got a model standing up in view of the table, and I've only got one turn left, and I have to deal with him before going out and pressing the buttons. So it gives him an opportunity to win, because if I don't press him any of the, and I've got no buttons at the moment, if I don't control any consoles, he will win by having the whole group of 4 there from his. And if I only get 1 or 2, then he can easily surpass me with button pressing. But as it happens, Noctifer, just on fire today, does manage to defeat the Scott missile launcher and blows him up as well. So things just turning to custard for our Ariadne friends, sadly. I'm having a really good luck game this time. Galwegian over here throwing a smoke grenade to help block for his friendly team to move around and hopefully get to this objective over here, just to get a little bit done. But as his guys move out here, he's only got 1 order left to press the button, and unfortunately fails the whip check, so things really not going well. And there you can see more of an overview where he's sort of repositioning, but that's really the best he can achieve. I think this is my turn in which I actually move out with the Dacheratsi and throw a smoke grenade, but anyway. The Shrouded, who started his turn here, able to move through and press this button on the way, and then move across here, press this button, and then continue moving over to his side of the table. So we're starting a very efficient turn with about like 8 orders to just purely press buttons. This is the last combined army turn. So we've picked up the first 2, as you can see from these combined tokens, and then he moves around to this 3rd objective, which he also secures, and puts himself in a position where he can fire some arrows as well. Bit and Kiss moving forward to take control of this objective closest to my lines, and the Doctor moving through to take the middle one closest to my lines as well. So that leaves me with a grand total of 5 controlled objectives. And Bit and Kiss, of course, providing, well, Bit is prone behind the objective itself, but Kiss leveling its adhesive launcher to provide an arrow if needed. Nexus Lieutenant using Lieutenant order to stand up. He's going to impact the game in no possible way in future, so he's just providing an arrow. Technically, though, he does become a liability because he's a specialist, and number of specialists killed matters, although the objectives matter much more than the specialists do in this particular context. So, zooming out, I have managed to pick up this one here, this one here, this one here, this one here, and this one here. So that's the tic-tac-toe completed, not that we're playing tic-tac-toe. Ariadne has got this one here. He's about to pick up this one here. To win, what he'd really have to do is move through to here and grab this one, and maybe take this one back off me, and it would be a score of 4-4, and he might be able to pick up his classified objective or kill more specialists in the process, but he's just got so few orders to do that, it's not really going to be very possible. So initially, Galwegian moving forward with Impetuous gets straight into line of sight of a missile launcher and an adhesive launcher. The missile launcher does not connect, but the adhesive launcher does, and he's immobilized. Sad face. The SAS trooper moves forward, gets shot at by like 4 different things, including a missile launcher, but rolls a critical dodge. How about that? And he's able to use the next one to move on to the objective here and press the button in the name of Ariadne. So at least that's something. The paramedic moves around here and fires his gun at the Shrouded to try and get rid of him, and I believe he does connect and kill him, but then he gets shot at by everything else in the entire combined army. So yeah, game sort of fizzles out, and combined win by a fairly large margin. Let's just go through it, though. I was very lucky this game in the shootouts that mattered. If you go back to turn 1, I mean, I was a little bit unlucky with one of the Gakis. I was a little bit unlucky with my Dacheratsi. I was a little bit unlucky with some of KoDali's shots, but that's, that's not terribly bad. He was very unlucky with his Grey Rifle, obviously. That was the real pivotal moment of the game. He was also lucky with McMurrah getting the Specfire grenade to destroy the designated target, as you can see on the left here, straight out. I was lucky to have my data tracker survive. I was also lucky to hit him with the missile launcher twice and kill him. So this was a game that swung back and forth. I felt like I hadn't done great this time around. I felt like I was definitely in a position to lose through a lot of that, and I committed pretty hard to that Alpha Strike and didn't really Shouldn't have really expected to have got a lot done. I mean, William Wallace could easily have survived. So I don't really know if I'll be playing this exact kind of list again anytime soon. It is a bit flimsy once you lose, your heavy weapons. There's no HMG in this list, for example, so I feel like I may have relied a bit too much on the cheaper cost models and the gimmicky sort of attack with KoDali. KoDali is so effective, but when she's just using a combi rifle, she can flake out a little bit, and if you don't get into position, if your opponent outplays you and with his reserve model, then sometimes it just doesn't work out. Whew, okay, hope you guys enjoyed this one. This has been combined against Ariadne's Caledonian Sectorial. Combined army managed to win it this time, but I got pretty lucky to do so. And yeah, see you guys later.